So when you have two guys in a fight like this between Antonio Lopez and James Irigoin, this just adds another layer to the middleweight division, guys. I mean, this is crazy at this point. We have so many contenders, and I forgot we still had Antonio Lopez and Irigoin. First of all, this is a monumental fight for both guys. I mean, this determines who goes to actually be a contender. Guys, Antonio Lopez is a bad dude. He's a great boxer. I watched him a lot. He can go with the best of the best. James Irigoin, I haven't seen as much of him, but what I have seen is pretty damn good. He's 2-2 right now. Antonio Lopez is 3-2. Where do we go from here? Well, let me give you some quotes real quick from both guys. Obviously, before I do this, it's night 3 in RBC 13. This is a huge fight for both guys. I mean, you're talking who's going to be a contender at this point. Loser of this fight is 500 or less. And that's a very tough hole to climb out of. So I'll give you one from James real quick. He said he's going to knock him out in the second. Guy said knockout power. I don't know about the second round, but that's a lot of confidence. And then when I talked to Icon, he was like, he doesn't want to be a defensive fighter. Now, historically, he has been a pretty defensive fighter. So, and this reminded me of Jake Matthews last night. He said, I want to be more aggressive than safe this time. He was training for doing something different, and hell, it worked out. He knocked out the Portuguese dude. Icon has the same approach at this point. He's going to try something new. He wants to reshape his image, and that's a really good thing in boxing, but it's also a very dangerous thing. If it works, then you just roll with it, and then you can become a champion off of it. If it doesn't, well, that's just too bad. There's not that much content going into this fight, to be honest. This is a very competitive fight. But speaking of this being a great fight, it's also in the middleweight division. Damn, guys, I've been talking about the middleweight division for so long. It's all you can talk about. It's what is the future of Ozzy Divine and Jam Jones? What is the future of NJJ? What is the future of all the contenders in the middleweight division? Guess what? There's two other divisions, and this one just happens to be historically the more weaker one. Where's heavyweight and welterweight going? This is a question I want to bring up. Where is welterweight and heavyweight? Well, I know where heavyweight is. It's inactive, and your best guys there, or some of the best fighters in the world, they're having a hard time showing up to fights. I've heard that people have rejected Tam's King offers. And in welterweight, well, you have a guy, it's not really his fault, to be honest. He's taking some time off, and I respect it, because I think Cruzaro should take some time off after just fighting 3 straight headlines that must have been very exhausting for him. And to get to that road to become the best of all time is so difficult. I'll give him a pass there, but everyone else in those 2 weight classes have just not been doing any work. But now, you got middleweight carrying all the load. Let me ask you guys, is that a good thing for the sport? Do we not need one division carrying until we can get the other champions back into action? I say sure. Night 2 is probably going to be Ozzy Divine versus Dodo Paul. It's going to be something. Probably relating to Ozzy Divine if he does fight. I don't have enough information there to make a clear prediction, but I think that's what it is. So let's get back to this fight. Great stylistic fight. Knockout power versus now going to probably be an offensive or defensive guy. If Antonio Lopez uses his former defensive self, this would be a much tougher fight. Counter-striking be very dangerous for Irigoin, but based on what he said, this could be a dogfight. 6 round, very entertaining bout. Can't wait for it. One I want to tune into. In Japan, man oh man. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, this is probably this fight. If there were any matchup in the middleweight division that I'm most excited for right now, I never knew I wanted this fight. But I do. For a while there, I even forgot these guys existed in the middleweight division. Now that I know, holy hell, you've added a whole new layer of contenders on a division that has just killers. I can rename the list again. Kenny Young, Missy Paul, Harry Payne, NJJ, who's fighting for the title, former IBF champion. You have obviously your two champions, Dodo Paul, WBA super middleweight champion. Guys, this is a crazy weight class. But is that good for the sport? Is it good to have this top heavyweight division that is so deep, that is deeper than any weight class in combat sports I've seen in a very, very long time? I don't say it is, but I don't mind it. I mean, until Cruzaro comes back, which I really hope he does. I think he will come back at some point. I can't wait for that. I'm going to say it right now. That might be a more important fight than Dax versus whoever he faces. Because if he wins, let's say Irigoin wins for a second. I think Irigoin needs this fight more than Lopez does based on records in general. If Irigoin knocks out Lopez, then that changes the story. If Lopez beats Irigoin any type of way that's not controversial, that's bad on that's gonna really affect Irigoin in general. But other than that, this is a great fight. I can't wait. There's many fights where when I look at them I say, okay, yeah, this was pretty obvious we needed this fight. I didn't know I needed this fight at first. I didn't know that we should get this fight. And now, based on very few words I've talked to Antonio Lopez and James Irigoin, these guys are both confident they can knock each other out. So you have your confidence, you have your stakes, you have a very good stylistic matchup. This is going to be a banger. And I don't know what to say at this point. Where do we see this going? Do we see Irigoin gain a highlight and then becoming a contender, maybe potentially fighting someone like maybe Harry Payne, Kenny Young? It's too early to say because there's going to be a lot more fights made, but I'm just saying for the future. And if Antonio Lopez wins, then you have your legit contender top 5 in the ranking. He probably needs one more fight to get to the title. Antonio Lopez wins this fight to move up to one more fight. Then you can fight for the title. Who knows what chaos is going to take place before then? But if everything stays the same, if everything goes right, I think Antonio Lopez could be fighting for the title in just under 3 months.